Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Good morning. And I'm so glad you could join us today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all so much. I'm going to post again in the chat just in case you came in after I posted some instructions just to make sure that everybody is checked in. You only need to do the remote check-in once during the whole day. You don't need to check in for each session. So once you do it, sometime this morning, you will be all set. So right now I just put in the chat, the remote check-in code is TECH23. And as long as you are registered and checked in for the day, you will be eligible for lots of great door prizes. There's also going to be a chance if you post on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter with the hashtag PSJWeCreate, that they have some additional prizes, some backpacks. So those instructions are there in the chat. And if you haven't done so, just make sure you do get a chance to check in. All right. And thank you. Looks like we've got a good group to start. So I'm going to share a little bit today about a particular kind of feature, particular set of features in Canva that I have really enjoyed using these last few years that I've been kind of practicing with them. So I'm hoping that I can share with you some things that I've found that work for me, and maybe we can share with each other because many of you might also have some great tips. So we'll have a little time to share that as well. So welcome. My name is Rachel Alvarez, and this is our session, Building Your Brand in Canva. And I am going to be sharing the presentation a couple of different ways. One, I'll share a bit.ly, a little link and a QR code for it. I'll also share the PDF at the end so that if you want to use some of the links, it'll be available to you. So let me know as we go. You can post in the chat any questions or anything as we go. And then, of course, at the end, too, I would love to hear any thoughts that you all have. So first off, I wanted to just sort of check how familiar we are with Canva already. I know some people use Canva a lot and already, know a lot of the features. And maybe if you haven't used Canva before, if you could put in the chat, maybe just kind of a quick comment, or do you use Canva already? Are you already kind of familiar with it, or is it something kind of new to you? And as you do that, I will say that Canva has a free educator kind of premium access account that you can get free, using our district credentials, kind of the single sign-on, and that gives you even more access to different features and different elements in your designs. So sure, scale 1 to 10 is good. So somewhere in the middle, the free version. Yes, I love Canva. And yes, it can be kind of overwhelming. I felt that way too at the beginning. Okay. Great. So we've got it's a little new to some of us, and I know there's some other really great sessions during the day about Canva. So, I know there's a lot of great things out there. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. And I'm glad people are ready to learn more, and hopefully you'll be able to take away some things to use for yourself and also for your students, because I can see it using, I use it in both of those things that I'm going to be doing, but also things that my students can do. So I'm Rachel. I am currently the librarian at PSJ Collegiate School of Health Professions. My teaching experience, I've just completed 15 years in PSJA. And so my teaching experience my years were in social studies. In secondary, I did middle school, high school, dual credit. And then I transitioned to become a librarian. I was at the elementary for a couple of years, and then this past year with middle and high school and dual credit students as well. And the place that really got me into Canva was being the campus PR rep at my previous school. And if any of you are PR reps, or if you are familiar with your PR reps at your campus, they do a lot of posting, lots of social media, lots of graphics. And so that is really where I got into using Canva and where I figured out some of these things as I went. These little tips that helped me to make designs a little bit easier, to help me with those posts that I was doing. So that's really where I credit my Canva experience with. And so just a little agenda here. We're going to talk about kind of just building a brand in general, how we can find templates in Canva. There's already a lot of really great templates that you can use. You know, you don't have to start from scratch. If you want to, you can, but for those of us who like a little bit of kind of support to get there, there's great templates. There's great decor kits that you can choose, which I'll show you a little bit about. And there are, there's a brand logo kit, and that's really what I wanted to share with you, is how you can customize your color palette, your fonts, you know, use a logo or maybe a school, either a school logo or maybe a club that you have. We'll talk about that, how you can shuffle through the styles using your brand colors. And then we'll have some time for maybe for us to share with each other ideas that we already are using, or that we could see ourselves using this in our classrooms. And I do have the QR code there for the presentation. Like I said, I will also be sharing the PDF at the end. And that way, if it helps you to follow along as we go, you're welcome to open it. If you'd rather wait till the end, you will get a copy anyway. And I know it's cut off a little bit, I'm noticing. So there's also a link, a bit.ly link also to the presentation. So that way you can have access to kind of these examples. So why build a brand? And when we think of branding, I know we think of, you know, businesses and, you know, stuff we buy at H-E-B, where we want to, you know, we recognize our favorite brands or clothing, right? But as educators, it's also good to build a brand. And that's something I've been working on. And I was thinking, as the keynote speaker, Claudio, was talking about not feeling really creative, that's sort of where I'm at. So I don't feel like I'm really creative. I don't really feel like I have an eye for design. And that's how Canva has helped me a lot, because it gives me some supports and some kind of guidance where I can, you know, have some help to be a little more creative. So we can use a brand for teacher projects, teacher things that you are sharing out. Also with student projects, where I think that is really exciting, because this ultimately, yes, we can do it for us, but we also can share this with our students. So when you create a brand, which I'll show you about, you can share that with your students. We can create cohesion and consistency throughout, you know, visually our lessons, our social media posts, our projects that we're giving our students. We can establish a routine. It looks very professional. We can make it visually appealing, which we know increases engagement and grabs the attention of our students or our audience. And when we make this brand kit in Canva, you can share it with others from your department, from your school, your students. They will also be able to access that and include those elements in their own designs. So I'm going to sort of guide you step by step a little bit through the website of Canva. And those of you who said you are kind of just learning or kind of starting out with Canva, I will kind of mention that there is a free, you know, it's free. Canva's free. You can have just a regular free account, but as educators, we all can also access the educator account, which gives you some more elements and some more access, and also allows you to connect with your students in the classroom. So if you have not signed up for that, I do recommend you do so. And it has a lot of great features, and it's still free. So when you do log into Canva, and again, I use my PSJ credentials, so you can do the single sign-on and log in if you've never accessed it, or if you're kind of just getting started. This is sort of how the homepage looks, and you can use Canva for a huge variety of projects. You can make videos, you can make presentations, similar to like Google Slides or PowerPoint, that style presentation. You can make social media posts, you can make newsletters, calendars. There's possibilities are endless. So you can either type in the top what you are trying to create that day, or you can also look through the templates that are already made. And along the left side down here, it also gives you specifically education as one category. So for education templates, you can search by your grade, your subject, your resource type, what you're looking for, if you're elementary, if you're high school, if you're looking for flashcards, if you're looking for comic strips, if you're looking for agendas, and so on and so on. So it is really nice because I think Canva really spends a lot of time making things, specifically applicable to the field of education, which I really love about it. So it has a lot of very specific templates already ready-made, and you can always customize them, but it's a great jumping off point. So when you go into Canva, first, you're going to choose what style or what content you're trying to create that day. And you can also browse these classroom decor templates. And I think this is really nice, especially as we're starting the new school year, because as you're thinking about the school year, if you have a theme in mind for your year, something that you want to kind of make a consistent theme for all your maybe anchor charts or your posters or your, kind of projects that your students are going to be doing, you can start from one of their classroom decor templates, they call them, and kind of build around that as well. So it'll be, again, that consistency that could be kind of part of your brand. And what I also really like about Canva is they recently added in a lot of new features with the magic design. So you can start with just an idea you have, and using AI, it populates and can really do a lot of the work for you to get started. And then, of course, you can kind of go in and tweak it or adjust what you like, or add things in that you want to add, or take out things that don't really work for you. But the magic design is a really great feature where you can start from, just a little idea you might have. So I'm going to really focus in on the brand kit, but this is just to kind of get you a little familiar with how Canva looks when you first log in, and some of the options that are already ready-made for you. So whether it's something like labels for your students, or whether you're going to be making, a kind of a poster for your classroom, there's a lot of great stuff to start with. So if you don't have an idea for your brand, or if you haven't really created a brand before, you can start with maybe your school colors, if you have a school logo, maybe if you have a club that you are the sponsor for and you've got a logo or an image for that, you can start there. And my favorite kind of starting point is figuring out the colors of the logo, because if there's already a logo created, that'll be a great place to start. That way, consistently throughout the year, when you are making a project, when you are sending home maybe letters to parents, or when you are putting things on your Google Classroom and you want things to look consistent and look, eye-catching and engaging, it'll have that consistency. And for us, at our library, at the Collegiate Library, we had a student create a logo, and this was the year before I got to Collegiate, but we have been using the logo based on the student contest. So that's a great idea too. So if you're kind of thinking like, well, what kind of logo would I use? Or, you want something maybe more specific than your school logo, maybe your class comes up with a little logo contest and your students can help you come up with something that would really represent them for the year. So you could have students really get involved and give them that ownership as well. So part of what Canva offers is, if you have a picture you want to start with, a logo, something, you can generate the complementary colors, generate colors that will look nice with it when you put it into different designs, when you put it on social media, when you put it into your Google Classroom, and it'll be a good kind of jumping off point for that. I put a QR code here for, this is specifically for the palette generator. And again, when we send out, or when I share the PDF at the end of the session too, you'll have the link in there to click because it's not the easiest to find, I will say. So I love Canva, but one of the things I found when I was kind of working through this part of it and making my brand, I learned about this from another educator, and I don't think it's super easy to find through the website. So I will share that with you as well, and you'll have it in the PDF version. So you can upload a picture, any image you want. So this is our student created logo for the library that one of our students designed. And so if we start here, and I upload this, our mascot are the lions. So we have our lion logo. And when I uploaded just this portion here with the book and the lion and our name, PSJ Collegiate Library, the color generator came up with a couple of other colors that would sort of complement and go with it. Now, if you don't love the colors, you can do it again and it'll give you some other options too. So sometimes like you go through and you're like, it's okay. But you can run the generator again and it'll kind of shuffle through some more choices. And you can even choose if you want, 2 more colors or 3 more colors or 4 more colors. It gives you a whole bunch of options. And sometimes, maybe they look great to you, and sometimes you might want to run it again. So they will help you come up with a family of colors, sort of like a palette. And then you can apply this palette and have it with you always in Canva. And so that way you can have those colors ready for any designs that you're going to make, and it'll make it really easy to choose those colors. So this will kind of talk about the different, the color wheel, and this is where you can change how many complementary colors you want. And then you add it to your brand hub. And I'm showing you this because I also included our school logo in my brand hub. So you'll see here in this, in my brand hub, I have the collegiate library with the lion that I just showed you, but I also have already added our school logo. And so our school logo has this kind of burnt orange, it has this blue, this kind of gold color, and this sort of maroon that all came from this logo as well. So it can help you pick out exactly what colors, because it can be really hard to find, exactly what shade of blue, this logo has. So once you do generate that palette and you have your logo, then you can add it to your brand hub. And so the brand hub, again, it says here, you can include any kind of ingredients to your brand. You can include logos, you can include specific colors you want to always have available to you. You can include fonts if there are certain fonts that you want to always have. And then you can share it with other people in your team. Again, like your students, your coworkers, other people who might also, want to include those in their designs. And so here I've got a few different logos, kind of depending on what project I'm working on. Logo for the, the school, logo for our library. This is kind of our school, one of our other school designs, and then our colors. So that way with the little hex numbers, whether I'm even in another app, maybe I'm using, Google, I can still find those same colors because I've got that code. And again, I got those from the palette generator. So the codes are really helpful because they can help you find the different colors and have access to them over and over again. So once you've got your brand kit or your colors that you already know are going to kind of mesh well with your logo and with your school colors or maybe your club colors, whatever you have created, I really like how easy it is to actually access them. So when you're making something, when you're designing something, under styles, it'll already have your color palette that you created. And that way you can have a lot of options and also have them really easily accessible. And so, for instance, this was something I was making a little Instagram post for our library advisory board. And when you click styles, you can shuffle through a whole bunch of colors. And so this is all the same graphic, but you can shuffle it and it'll give you different combinations of the colors that are part of your color brand kit. And it'll give you the fonts that are already part of your brand kit. If you've added fonts, it'll give you a bunch of different choices. So you can kind of shuffle until you find something you like, and then you can use that. And then again, it's great because if you reuse a similar type of post, you can maybe kind of use the same format, use the same logo, use the same font, but maybe change the background color out to one of your other brand colors. And I think that could be really great with maybe color coding if you've got different classes or different clubs that you're going to be using maybe similar kind of structures, but maybe you want to customize it a little bit for each of your class sections, or for, a couple different groups of students maybe have kind of their own color that they know to look out for when you're posting on Google Classroom or something like that. So it makes it really easy to shuffle through and just see at a glance like what you like and what maybe you want to go with for that project. And so for me, I'm learning and I'm still working on it because, as I mentioned, I don't feel like I came into this with like a really great eye for design, but I love how Canva helps me feel a little more comfortable and gives me kind of those structures in place. Because then when I am posting either like on our library Instagram, or I'm making a newsletter for our staff, or I'm posting on our Google Classroom for different library events, whatever it might be, I can kind of have a little consistency and feel like I have a good starting point for using some of those same fonts that I might like to use, or for seeing some of those colors come through. So I know already, like, I've got some colors to begin with, I've got some fonts to begin with, and I can shuffle through. And so these are just some examples of small projects, small things that I created last year, and using the brand kit. And you can share this again with your students, with your teachers. And then what I think is a really, great possibility, and what I want to use more this coming year with my students, is getting them more active in using Canva. We had a lot of students using Canva this past year I know, for instance, like with their capstone projects, and I see Miss Elizondo here, so I know she's been helping them in using Canva. And I think once the students really take ownership and use it, they can work together in teams, so they can work collaboratively on a class project and have access to maybe that set of colors and fonts, so that they can have some cohesion between their own projects. They can kind of play around and create their own logos. Even maybe they're creating a project and they need to come up with some kind of logo to represent what they're studying or what they're creating for your class as well. And so I think that is a great opportunity also to use these brand kits. And I'm going to show, and actually before this, I wanted to jump over to actually show you the website, because again, I know some of us, we kind of had different varying levels of experience with Canva. So I'm going to hop over here and I'm going to go back to just the home to get started. And then we'll have a little time for sharing out some questions, but just to sort of guide you through when you first get into Canva and you're logged in. Again, if you don't have that educator profile on there, I highly recommend it. And you can search here. you can look for different templates, or you can look for a certain type of project you want to create, whether it's social media, videos, and you've got options there. Once you go, the template bar is going to be on the left if you don't see it right away. You can go to the 3 bars for the main menu. And that's where you can get, especially under the education section, a lot of really great resources from elementary all the way through different grade levels and some templates. So if you don't specifically have your own brand yet, but you're just sort of starting to play around with it, there's a lot here. And you can filter it because, as somebody mentioned in the chat, it can be really overwhelming, but I really like how they break it down. So if you're looking for, let me see in the chat, what are we mostly elementary, middle school, high school? How about we do a quick share in the chat what age level we are working with. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing mostly elementary. So, you know, let's say maybe you want to start with elementary, it breaks it down. You can look again for things even like different kind of lessons about different topics, some SEL stuff here, like about how children are feeling is a little check-in. All right. Yeah, it looks like we're mostly elementary, a little bit of high school. I also am at high school, but like I said, I've used Canva at all the levels, and it's great because there's just so much there. If you're looking for resource types, you can start there. So just for those who are maybe just barely getting started, this is a good place to start. Oh, a newsletter, yeah. And so this is, I've played around with newsletters on Canva. I've also used S'more, so I'm kind of learning, but Canva does have some great newsletter templates as well. So I do think that that's a great place to start. So like even here, if I click newsletter, it's got templates already that you can begin with and sort of pick out one that looks good, but then of course you can always customize it. So let's just say that I'm doing an elementary newsletter and I click into customizing this template. I want to just show you where the brand kit comes in because that'll sort of tie together what I was showing you before. So let's say that I'm working on this newsletter for my class. And right now, maybe I like the structure, but I want to customize it a little bit more for, you know, to kind of be consistent with my school colors. Maybe I want to make it, you know, more to do with my school colors. So even when I click on this color, this yellow, maybe I want to make that my school color. So once I click the color, the little square to change the color, already it tells me my collegiate colors are right here. And so this is just a quick example where whatever design you're doing, it pops up right away for you. Like, okay, I want to make that my collegiate burnt orange. And then maybe for this font, again, with the color, maybe I want to make it this blue because that's one of the colors of my kind of brand that I know will look nice with my other colors. It kind of complements it. And then once I put in my logo, it will, you know, make it all kind of tie together nicely. So that's one way that you can access the brand kit is once you're already in a design, it will tell you right there, here's collegiate, my collegiate colors. Here are the colors from my other logo. So since I uploaded the collegiate library logo, this tells me like these are the colors that come from it. It picks out the colors and populates them there for you whenever you're making a design. And then of course I can customize this whole template as much as I want, put in my newsletter, put in my information that I want for my students and their parents to have, or maybe my coworkers if I'm making a newsletter, for, you know, for whoever it is, right? I can customize it. All right, I see a question. Do I recommend to create the brand before we do other things for our classroom? It's up to you. I'd say not necessarily. Like if you're just barely kind of getting started, it doesn't have to be the first thing that you do. And I say that because I mean, I was using Canva a little bit before I discovered the brand kit. So you can always, you can do it at any point. If you already have school colors that you can at least start from, then maybe you could do it at the beginning, because that way, you know, like especially now since we're about to start the new school year, if you want to at least start with your school's logo, right? Like your school's mascot, your seal of your school. That way, whenever you're making things for Google Classroom, maybe you're already aligned to that. It doesn't have to be a unique, specific logo that you're coming up with from scratch. So that's something to think about, is maybe getting that, you know, the original logo as a starting point and uploading it to Canva, because then you're starting the year off like already using that. And then later on down the road, if you want to say, okay, our class is going to come up with, you know, a special mascot for this class, or a special logo, or a special, you know, image. And even I think it'd be fun to have the students kind of take some ownership in that. You can always add it in later, so you don't have to have it established, but this is just a way to kind of have some continuity and have that kind of visual consistency through the things that you create. So that's what I really like here, is just the way that your colors are going to be populated really easily. And then once you do go to your uploads, and once you've already had this too, like I've got, you know, different logos in there that we've used. So there's our school logo, and there's my library logo. I can pop it in there. And then let's say I think, you know, I want to change the color out of this part. I want to change it to that other orange so it matches a little bit better, but there we go. And then I'm going to put my logo somewhere in here. Or if I'm doing it more for the school, maybe a kind of school-wide, this is where maybe your school has a logo, you know, your school has a logo already that you want to start with. And then you can kind of adjust using that one. And then I can come back here and I can change this to kind of look nice with that logo. So it just gives you some options to have that design. For those of us who maybe don't have our design eye like really finely tuned, I think Canva does a nice job of that. And then again, I'm just going to pop back here from the home page to the brand hub. And so the brand hub is where, again, you can always add something new. So if you have multiple, maybe different clubs that you are a sponsor of, or maybe you have different schools that you work for, if you're maybe in between different campuses, you can create a new brand kit as well. And so we've got our logos, we've got our colors, and then you can also add in fonts. So if you kind of go down, each of these is kind of set for different fonts that I like to use. And you can always customize that as well. That way, when you are in your design, it'll make it easier for you to find those fonts that you consistently want to have access to, or the colors. And oh, I just remembered one other thing. I'm going to go back. I'm sorry, because I wanted to show you the shuffle really quick that I mentioned, but just to let you see it in action. So when you go to styles, back to my design here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. When you go to styles, it'll already give you a lot of color palettes, which I love. So even if you don't have a brand kit or a logo, it's great, because I discovered this and I was like, oh, I never know what colors look good together. I never know what fonts are going to look good together. And it gives you some combinations already, which I love anyway. But once you do create your brand kit, it will populate right here. So I could do like this. And then once I click onto collegiate, it gives me those little arrows. And if I click it, it'll just keep shuffling through different options, and it'll change kind of the colors, the background scheme. And if you notice, it's changing all the graphics too. So like if you look at these icons here, like, you know, the globe and the notebooks and the calculator, It's even shuffling the color of those, which I think is really cool. So it will make your whole design very cohesive. And that way you can kind of stop when you get to one you like, and then it makes it look really nice. And that's how I did when I showed you those different versions of my graphic. I love this shuffle. And if I wanted to do my other logo, you know, same thing. I've got both of my logos in here, the school one and the library one. And so it gives you a lot of just easy accessibility to different things that are going to end up looking nice and looking professional and looking consistent for your students to use. And I'm going to pop the link to that color generator because, like I mentioned, I know it's kind of, here we go. It wasn't, let's see if I can do it this way. It's a little bit hidden. So if you do want to try out or play around with the color generator, let's see, there you go. It's in the chat now. And that way, if you do again have an image you want to start from, you can use that as a starting point to figure out the different colors that might work well with what you have there. So there's just a lot, and Canva is really great. I will also put in a little plug for all their videos to learn more. So they have this little tab at the top that says Learn, and they have Design School, which I love. So, you know, if you do feel like overwhelmed with Canva and you're just getting started, I highly recommend you check out this part or under Learn, because they've got a whole bunch of kind of go at your own pace courses, Canva for beginners, or if you want a specific aspect of Canva that you're trying to work on, different docs or even creating websites. They've got a lot of really great little tutorials here. So if you ever feel sort of overwhelmed, I recommend checking that out. So let me get back here. And I'm going to go back to my presentation to do our last few things. And then so I did want to have a little time for questions, comments, like ways that some of you might already be using Canva, tips you have for each other, because I'm still learning and I don't think that I am an expert. And I know that some of, you all might have some great ideas already that you like using Canva for. So in the chat, or if you do want to unmute and share something, you're welcome to do so. I wanted to just see, do you see some examples of where you could use kind of this brand kit idea, maybe something you're already doing? If there's a way that you've used any of these features before, any other tips or tricks or suggestions that you want to share with the group. So we'll take a couple minutes just to see if anybody wants to share out any questions, comments, suggestions, tips. Okay, so for starting the brand, the first thing that you would do is when you are logged into your Canva. So if you are just here, like, in your regular homepage of Canva, and you want to start with a brand, maybe start with your school logo, you're going to click on the left-hand menu. It says Brand Hub. And if I didn't have anything here yet, yours would start off empty, and you would add new. So first you're going to name your brand kit. So maybe you're going to name it, I'll just name it Collegiate School of Health Professions, but yours might be, Robotics Club, or it might be, Ford Elementary School, or it might be whatever brand you want to create, right? So this is my new brand. It doesn't have anything yet. Notice it does say it's shared with my class. So I want to point out there that if you have your educator account set up, it's already going to share with your class, which means your students will be able to log in and use it. You can share it with your colleagues. So once you start using that with your students and with your colleagues, then you can even make that brand kind of consistent across, not just in your classroom, but maybe across the school, or with maybe a colleague that you work with if you are, maybe co-sponsors for a certain club. So the first thing you would need to do is to add a logo. And then this is where you add in your palette, your color palette, and you add in your fonts. So let's say, and let me just see if I can kind of grab a logo really quick. So let's say I wanted to upload a logo. And you could maybe have your logo already shared. So let's just say, I know somewhere I have this, but if you already have a logo ready, I had saved this recently. It's the Instagram logo. I'm not trying to become Instagram, but let's say that this was my logo. Pretend it's your school logo, right? So you add in your logo, and then it will already, even here, before you even go to the color palette generator, it will kind of do it for you already embedded as well. So actually this is even kind of one step that you can start with. So if you like the colors, you can keep them. If you don't, you can remove them. Okay, so on your end, it says create a design. It doesn't give you the option of add new. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder. So it does say create. If you click create a design, I wonder maybe the first time you do it, it doesn't say add new. Maybe it says just create because you don't have one already. So maybe I'm wondering if that might be it. Since I already have one, I can add another one, but if you haven't started a brand kit yet, it might just start with the create button. Thank you for telling me that. So let's say that this was my logo. Now these are my colors. So anytime that I'm going to be creating a post with my colors, with my brand, right? I've got the colors that I want. And if I like them, I can keep them, right? And then if I wanted to add an additional color palette, I can, which would be like, maybe there's some other colors that I also want to have access to in my brand kit. Yes, and definitely do contact me if you get stuck, because I'll play around with it some more too. So for anybody, if you're playing around with it and you have questions, I will put my contact back up, and I am definitely here to help. So then let's say I had like an additional color palette, I could add it here, and that's where the color palette generator could help you as well. And I could even add multiple logos, right? And then here, if you have certain fonts you like, this even breaks it down to your title, your subtitle, your heading. So like, let's say you are doing a newsletter that somebody mentioned, and you always want your title, your heading to be, big and bold. And then you want your content paragraph to be, something a little smaller, easier to read. You can customize exactly which fonts you want to have access to as well. So that is nice. And you can even upload fonts. I know some people have fonts they love that they have saved to their computer and want to be able to use. So let's say you have a font already that you use in other programs, you can upload it in Canva too to have even more fonts if you have done that. So now that it's there, here's my logo, here are my colors. I could add fonts. So let's say I went in and added some more fonts. Now, when I go back to my designs, it's not really collegiate, right? But my new design, let's say I'm going to go back and make something. Now I'm going to have access to that brand kit. So it's going to be there when I make, let's say I'm going to make an Instagram post, and now we're going to see that under the styles, I've got, let me scroll, oops. Oh, here we go. I have to change this little heading. So it's a little drop down, and now I want to have it with some of these colors, and maybe I want to shuffle through and I'll be able to access those. So that's just a quick way to start your brand as far as your colors, your font, your logo. Again, you know, you can use it however you want. You don't need to start and have it, you know, a really big thing at the beginning. You can always start with just maybe your school colors. You know, if you get your logo, this, you know, the high quality image logo from your PR rep, if you don't have it yet, you know, they have the PNGs of the school logo. So if you don't have it, you could start from there, and then you can always find out, you know, exactly what colors they are and use them. And even use, like I mentioned, if you're making something in Google Slides, if you're making something in PowerPoint, once you know those colors, you can even use those colors in other programs as well, just to have that kind of consistency. So now I've got my colors, and I can kind of toggle between different brands too. So if I'm making something for my school to post on the school social media, and then I'm going to make something for my, you know, my DI club, and they have, maybe I have a different brand for them that I want to use certain colors for them to always know when I post, you know, they can kind of see, oh, that's for us, and that's, you know, that consistency. So you've got your fonts, and these are the brand fonts I have, and the colors. So I hope that kind of walked you through. And again, if you run into any issues as you go, I am always here to help. Were there any other comments, questions, ideas, any other suggestions anybody has, or ways that you already use Canva or already use some of these features? All right, you use Canva to help give customized items. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So if any of you make other things, tumbler shirts, stickers, yeah, if you like use a Cricut or anything, right? I know people can also use Canva designs for that. Right now, I'm putting in the chat the PDF of this presentation. It should upload right now. There we go. So you can always access the links and the you know, the information there, as well as through the, I had put the link and the QR code earlier as well. Yeah, so I will say too, Canva's great, not just for, I mean, yes, for school, that's our main, you know, thing that we're kind of talking about here for education, but for you know, personal use as well. So, you know, if you're making like invitations for something, or like a personal calendar to, you know, keep you organized, I love Canva for a lot of things and use it in those ways too. Um, Great. So yes, the PDF is there. This QR code is also to the presentation, just another way to access it. I do have my email there, rachel.alvarez, and this is our Instagram for our school library. So in case you ever want to follow, or in case anyone else is interested in seeing what our library is up to, we have, you can follow us there, and you can kind of see some of the designs. I'm still working, I'm still learning, but we're getting there. And this year, I do want to use a lot of the things I've been learning on Canva for my students, because for instance, we have a social media manager for our library advisory club, and she is really excited to kind of take ownership of that. And so I'm looking forward to helping her and sharing with her like the brand kit. So for instance, when she's posting, you know, she'll maybe design something and I'll approve it and we'll look at it together, but we'll have some consistency there, and share some of those items just to kind of have a nice cohesive professional look on our brand and on our Instagram. All right. And yes, we definitely learn together for sure. I'm gonna, give everybody a chance to sort of play around a little bit if you want to try any of this out while we're still here. If you do try it and you run into any issues, I'm happy right now to even try to jump in and see like if you need any help, and to see what you might be seeing when you are logged in. Thank you. I am about right now to put in our link for the evaluation. Yes. And so yes, before anybody heads out, let me put that in the chat. All right. So again, thank you all so much for joining us today, for joining me in this session. And I just want to share a little bit as I'm learning, and hopefully, I learn a lot from my colleagues, and I hope that you can share with each other. And if you find out something that works, definitely let me know. Something as you're playing around, and I'm here, and I would love to stay in touch. So thank you again for being here and for participating. There is a link right now for a survey for this session. So each session, your presenter will share that at the end. And that would be really great. And then again, just don't forget, you can always post on social media with the hashtag PSJ We Create and be eligible for some additional prizes. So thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. I'll be sticking around here. Have I sent anything to print before? So I have one time on Canva, because they do have an option where they can print something professionally and mail it to you. And I had some credits. I forget how I got like a free promo code to get a poster printed, and it came out really nice. And so it's up in our library on our door, and it's like a big poster that I designed. And so I will say that's the only time that I've actually printed something from Canva, but I do recommend it. The quality was really nice. It got shipped fast. And otherwise, you do have to pay for it. They have different prices, but it's something I'm interested in because they do a nice job. So I don't know if anyone else has printed anything from Canva before, but it's when you're done with the design, it'll give you the option here. If you go to share, I'll just point this out in case anybody is interested. You can download it, of course, you can share it. You can even connect if you are a PR rep, or if you want to share directly to, a social media, you can connect it that way. But here, when you go to print, you can print all sorts of stuff like photos and stickers and posters and notebooks and all sorts of things. So, yes, I don't know if anyone else has, but that's my only experience, and it was free for that one promo code I had. All right. Well, thank you all so much. If there's any other questions, I am still here. Feel free to put them in the chat or come unmute yourself. And thank you for doing your evaluations. It's good to see a lot of you. And I hope you all have a great rest of the day. There's a lot of really good sessions that I'm excited to hop into. So I will see some of you in those other sessions, and we'll keep learning. Thank you. And you all have a great day as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good morning, Miss Alvarez. Thank you so much for all the info, Miss. I truly appreciate it. But I will be getting back to you because I did get stuck, but on another day. Don't worry.
Thank you, Ms. Aguirre. I'll be here. And thank you for being here today. It's great to see you.
Likewise, and I'm so proud of you, Miss. So proud. Not happy that you weren't able to be my child's teacher, but I'm very, very proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a wonderful school year, Miss.
Thank you. You too. Have a great one. Thank you, and we will see you later. And yes, Miss Garcia, I am looking forward to meeting him. And I know I look forward to working with him. And I know we were talking about the summer reading. So if he ever has any issues, any questions, I'm here to help. And
yes, thank you very much. I really appreciated you getting back to me so quickly. I'm very nervous for him to start high school. He's a very, I mean, he's an awesome student, does really good in grades. He's just very quiet, very timid. So I'm a little worried about him starting high school and somewhere different.
Yes, well, it's a really nice small community there, so he'll be in good hands. Well, we'll look out for him.
I'm hoping to take him next week for enrichment camp. He says
he would like
to attend. So hopefully I'll get to see you maybe on Monday when I go with him.
Okay. Yes, I'll be in next week, so I'll be around.
All right. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank
you. Presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.